So Proverbs 25:16 says, "Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit it." So in the natural, don't overeat of something good either. There's balance in everything, right? So I can't just go on a honey diet now and say, but it's so good for me, I'm just going to eat honey all the time. Because we need a little bit of everything, and we need balance. I think that's same in the Word of God. We need a little bit of everything. We need a little bit of the body. We need a little bit of pastor's wisdom and revelation in our lives. It was back to that three-bound cord we were talking about last week. So you can't just feast on one thing and expect that to take care of all of it. It also, if you think about eating as much as you need to let it out so you can eat more of it, right? Otherwise, you're going to vomit it. And that's not really the best way to, share. Okay? Right? So as we're given goodness, let it also be given from us willingly, not vomiting. Okay? All right. Now that we've killed that one. Proverbs 25:27, "It is not good to eat much honey, so for men to search their own glory is not glory." So just digging too far deep into it and focusing, kind of getting covered in it, it's just like the people that relying on their own strength, You need the honey that will benefit you and just enough and use it for good. Okay. Isaiah 7:15 says, "Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good." So I started thinking, there's a couple other verses. In Matthew, it talks about John having, his meat was locusts and wild honey. So it can sustain you. It can be really good for you. And, of course, wisdom can be like meat and wild honey. Sweet and fulfilling. Psalm 119:103 says, "How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth." So this is getting direct to the point. God's words and his wisdom for our lives are sweet like honey. And as I'm thinking through these things, there's been some things in our lives in the past year or so that, we've built a house and different things, but there's been a lot of stressors and challenges. And I'm reminded of last summer, we went over to Jubilee. Pastor had recommended we go see Darren, and I forget his last name. Bagley? Okay. So we went on, I think it was like a Sunday night. We went for a special service, and Chris and I got a word, and it was kind of about what we were going through, spiritually and around us, that we're really being kind of pressurized, and stretched and worked on like a diamond would be. And that's never exciting. I know it's the case because it's still happening. But as I'm thinking through this, as those stressors come, and I can get really overwhelmed with the amount of things going on, right? Because I want to be successful, I want to provide for my family, I want to do well, I want them to serve the Lord. I don't want them to be, capsized by everything that's going on around us. I want to be faithful in this body, I want to be committed, I want to provide value. There's a lot of things, and these weigh on me. And if I allow too much natural wisdom, it's like choosing something bitter. It is not sweet like honey, and it will eat at you and really tear you apart. I went away this weekend to visit some friends from college, some of them I haven't seen in years, And it was great. Many of them serving the Lord. They're in various ministries and all kinds of things. And some of them are stay-at-home moms and homeschooling and, all these ideals that I would love to have, But each one has their own purpose and their own mission. But I got, really overwhelmed last night because I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be for Sunday school today. And different things. I have to actually run out to a baby shower this afternoon. So just different things going on in our lives, and I constantly pack it all in, and it's like, wait a minute, am I listening to the wisdom that's from above, the God revelation wisdom? And so this is me just sharing kind of my own conviction of where I am, that I know that this is a pressure process, and it does stretch you. But am I choosing honey? Am I choosing the sweet things? And as we talked last time, I'll work through this because we'll get into the next part. We really wanted to grow our family. I didn't think I would be emotional, I'm sorry. So that's never something really easy for us. It takes a long time. And while we were building our house, it was probably not ideal because I was stressed from that process and we're spread thin. But I finally did get pregnant. And it had taken about 7 months, and it was actually really good timing. I found out the day before we were moving that I was pregnant. And it was like, great, this is perfect because we're moving into our house. A lot of the work is done. God knew all along. I wanted to be pregnant months ago, but God knew, and so in your mind you start to say, okay, it's all coming together. And we were waiting to tell people, and just something about it, I needed to hear the heartbeat, and I wanted to know, and weeks were going by, and we were getting ready to go on vacation, and I was about 12 weeks, and we had just told our children. And so they don't fully understand, but they've seen other people that are pregnant. So of course, it's like, oh, Mommy, you have a baby in your belly. Yay, right now? Yes. And literally within probably 2 hours, I felt something, and I went to the bathroom, and I was bleeding. And so we were leaving on vacation the next day. Chris was going to go to the Boston Marathon to support his brother. I was supposed to go with him, but I was like, I need to go to the doctor. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, I got into the doctor, and there was no heartbeat. And so we went to ultrasound and stuff. Anyway, we had to share with the kids that we no longer had a baby. And trying to explain loss to small children that don't understand really fully. At first, they thought we had just lost it. We misplaced it. Maybe it would be coming back. But we had to explain, no, the baby was really sick and it died. And it was really hard, I know other people have experienced this, and it's really challenging. I don't think that I could have ever really known what other people were going through until I went through it. And so it's one of those things that, thank you, that are like the challenges that I was referring to 2 weeks ago. That, God brings us through things that teach us things, even if it's to help strengthen us in some way. Something really incredible, I feel, had happened in that process early on in the pregnancy. We started looking at names, and I just really wanted a name that meant peace. I just wanted a name that meant peace. And so we were finding names that meant peace. I said, we could use a little peace in our lives, And we have Zoe, who's full of life, and that is the name. So maybe it's time for peace. But as this process went through, I said, maybe we really knew that we were going to need that peace sooner than we thought. And when you go through trials and testings, where are you going to find your strength? Where are you going to choose the honey, or are you going to choose the bitter things? Are you going to rely on the body, or are you going to hunker down by yourself? All of those things that God is teaching us through. It's really hard to build any strength without having any obstacles, without having anything that stretches us. So, as I get into the next part here, this proverb continues to talk about kind of some of those challenges and the righteous being able to rise again, And it's not me personally. Sure, I somewhat pride myself on being a strong person, but at the same time, really, we know that deep down, we can be absolutely drowning and overwhelmed by the day-to-day or these bigger obstacles in our lives. So really, the only true strength is from Him. It's the only place you can find it. And even on the way in this morning, the radio, I was listening to K-Love, and even just the radio station was just getting at me. And I've saved other songs before, but this morning they just kept coming, and one of them, I'll just find my notes quick because I always have to write them down, was a song about Jesus. He loves me. He is for me, And through those situations and those trials, you can say, I had a friend say to me this weekend, doesn't that just make you so mad at God? And this person's one of the ones that's probably not really serving the Lord at this point. You've been so faithful to Him. Why did He do this to you? And I said, I didn't really ever think of that. Because not that I wasn't upset. I sure was, But I know that He is for me, and He's a good God, and He loves me, and He cares about our family. The other part that I didn't share is years and years of my life, I've gotten multiple words in my younger years that I would have children. And then I had C-sections. And I'm like, well, I obviously can't have a ton of children because major surgeries are not good for lots of children. So I don't know what this means. I don't know if this means I'm supposed to just work with children. I don't know if they're supposed to be my own children or adopted children. I have no idea, right? But it's just continuing to serve Him and remembering that He is for me, and if I'm willing to choose His will, not my will, and that we trust in Him. So everybody knows a song by Lauren Daigle, but, letting go of every single dream, I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never changes what you see. I've tried to win this war, I confess. My hands are weary, I need your rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight, no matter what I face, you're by my side. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So in all things, be my life and breath. I want what you want, Lord, and nothing less. Amen. Amen. And then she continues on with the chorus again, and then it says, you are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. Your ways are always higher. Your plans are always good. There's not a place where I'll go you've not already stood. I will trust in you, I will trust in you, I will trust in you. And so as we move into the next verses, they're really about how the righteous may fall 7 times. Oh, somebody has something. I don't know if we have a microphone or not.
We never understand some of the things we go through as we're going through them. That's just the bottom line. Brother Kelly always said, God will lead you to believe whatever you need to believe to get you to go wherever you need to go. And so some of the ladies in this room, we all have the same hairdresser. Our hairdresser just gave birth. Kelly, how far along was she? 30? 25 weeks. She was 24 weeks. The baby was 1 pound, 7 ounces. And very unexpected for her. She was doing fine, and all of a sudden, here she is. But the amazing thing was that she's Kelly's hairdresser too, Kelly Lemlin, and she's been reaching out to Kelly. Mm-hmm. And you know, when Kelly was going through all this stuff with her kids, she didn't understand why she had to go through those things. Yeah. But now as she starts to do this, there are women reaching for her saying, you got through this. What happened? What did you do? How did you keep your heart? How did you not get angry? How did you keep your faith? And Kelly has the chance to now say, you know, I have Jesus. Yeah. Jesus brought me through the midst of my heartache, the midst of my challenges. And she has such a testimony where she can say, Becca's the name of our hairdresser, hold on, just keep holding on, just keep praying. And like even talk her through some of the things with procedures. They know exactly. They did it twice, you know? And so I just want to encourage your heart, Karen. We don't know why God, but in the end, he always uses it for his glory. And when you get to that situation where you realize, oh my gosh, I went through this whole process for somebody else, it actually is a healing to your own heart. Mm-hmm. So just stay encouraged. I know you are. You're a strong woman. But stay encouraged. One day, someone's going to reach for you, and you're going to have the experience and the answer for them where people who haven't gone through it won't.
Right. Amen. I believe that. So I'm going to move on to verses 15 and 16. I'm going to read them out of the Message. And as I'm looking at it now over the Message, I'm sorry. Back to verse 14 just for a second. Likewise, knowledge and wisdom for your soul are like honey. Don't try to take someone else down, but it's also kind of that promise to us that, you know what, even if someone tries to mess with us, or even if challenges and obstacles that come in our lives, trials and testings, that we're not going to stay down. You know, we have his strength in us. So reading that in the King James, it says, lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. But just think about that too, and I didn't do a big number study or anything like that, but when you think about falling 7 times, you know, it may not be just 1 or 2 hurdles in your life or major challenges. It may be 7 massive, you know, brick walls that you have to climb over or what have you. But you're going to rise up again. Amen. While he's getting the mic, I have one more verse. Psalm 34:19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all.
Amen. I don't think the word 7 there, Karen, means literally 7.
Okay.
It means what 7 stands for, spiritual completion.
Yeah.
Until whatever it is, you're going to continue to stumble your way through life, so God can raise you up again. Mm-hmm. You begin to realize it's not in your strength. It's in his. Yeah. And that's what this whole basic thing is all about. You know, we all want honey. One of the most dangerous things that's going on today in the church is the fact they're in violation of Leviticus chapter 2. He said, don't take honey and mix it or burn it with any, well, it says meat offering, but it means a sin offering or any offering that has to do with be in bad shape with God. He said, don't try to sweeten it up. Yeah. Sin's evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes a horrible sacrifice to take care of disobedience and sin. You can't fix it with eating more honey.
Amen. That's good. There's a lot there, actually, Pastor. There's like a big beam in our eye. That if we just focus on ourselves, right? I have enough problems that I need to take care of. I have enough sin issues in my life. I have enough things that I'm not doing perfectly. That I don't need to rejoice when one of my enemies falls, you know, because as we talked about a couple weeks ago, when I need help, someone may walk right by me, or when, you know, I need someone to take pity on me, it may not be there for me. And then taking this a little bit, you know, further, in 1 Corinthians 13:6, it says, rejoice not in iniquity or sin, but rejoice in the truth. You know, so I think of this almost in the way of like encouraging good behavior. So if you're constantly rejoicing over truth and good things, those are the things we focus on, versus let's not condone or celebrate or rejoice the sinful things, but rejoice in the truth. All right, let's get over to Passion. I want to read this in the Passion too, just to kind of reiterate real quickly. I'm going to read in verse 16. For the lovers of God may suffer adversity and stumble 7 times, but they will continue to rise over and over again. But the unrighteous are brought down by just one calamity and will never be able to rise again. Never gloat when your enemy meets disaster and don't be quick to rejoice if he falls. For the Lord who sees your heart will be displeased with you and will pity your foe. All right, moving on to verse 19. Don't be angrily offended over evildoers or be agitated by them. And Brian Simmons puts here in the footnotes, the Septuagint is, don't rejoice with those who do evil or be jealous of them. I think that was a little bit in the first part of this chapter too, was like not being envious of the wicked. You know, they may look like they're prospering, but really is that the life that we want? You know, it's a pretty short-term gain, long-term loss situation. So don't be angrily offended over evildoers or be agitated by them. And I think of this word offended here too. I think it's easy to get offended because we're human, and you know, as soon as something or someone rises up against us or with a different, you know, maybe they say something that hurts our feelings, or maybe they're really choosing a different path and we're offended by that. But the Bible warns not to be, because I think about when you have an offense, when you've been offended, sometimes that other person doesn't even know. And the one really dealing with this and carrying this is the one who's allowed the offense to like take hold in their heart. So I just think that's interesting, and you know, not to participate. Don't, you know, really try not to get caught up in that. Don't be agitated by it.
Even Jesus warned, he said that even for surely offenses will come.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But he gave us the tools to be prepared for that. Continuing on in verse 20 for the Passion, in the Passion Translation, it says, "For the wicked have no life and no future. Their light of life will die out." Verses 21 and 22, I'm just going to finish up with these today because then it kind of starts a new section for the remaining verses. "My child, stand in awe of the Lord Jehovah." Think about this, you know, if we stand in awe of him and we're focused on him and we're seeking truth and rejoicing in truth, it's really hard to actually see any of the negative or the offenses or the sin, or because we're focused, you know, and we're keeping ourselves really in line with him. So, my child, stand in awe of the Lord Jehovah. Give counsel to others, but don't mingle with those who are rebellious. Right? So we do need to witness and support and help and lend a hand, but don't get too friendly because they can wear off on you too, you know? So you have to be really careful with who and how often you associate. Don't mingle with those who are rebellious. For sudden destruction will fall upon them, and their lives will be ruined in a moment. And who knows what retribution they will face. I think about that, even the story, maybe it was Josh when he was here, the story of the girls who got a prophetic word, I think, was like, you need to either make some right choices here, or, you know, you're going to get a phone call, or your parents are going to get a phone call. And within 30 days, right, all their friends got in basically a drunk driving accident and were killed. But they had made right choices at that point in time. They had turned themselves around. And I know that seems kind of extreme, but at the same time, I do think there's something to be said for mingling with rebellion and for rejoicing in iniquity. Consequences are going to come, and sudden destruction can fall upon that situation. And it says their lives will be ruined in a moment. And who knows what retribution they will face. So, if we stand in awe of the Lord Jehovah and we don't allow ourselves to fall down and not get up, but we pull ourselves up with the strength of the Lord, you know, we grab hold of him through every challenge, through every, you know, I know that he's teaching me something through this past year. There are still some things that I think we have to make choices on too. Some situations that have really been near and dear to us that we're really trying to see where the mind of the Lord is on the matter, you know. And when we try to do it in our own strength and our own mind, you know, we're not necessarily choosing revelation wisdom from above. And that's the only thing that's going to truly give us life and good choices and and will work out. If I rely on my own logic, which I sometimes do, I don't think that that's going to get me very far. So just trying to encourage you and myself that as we continue to stand faithful in Him and remember that He is for us, you know, even as we go through these things, He truly is for us, and He has a big, big plan that is good, you know, and not evil. So, all right.